She stepped closer, her boots crunching gravel under the sodium glow of the highway shoulder, the brim of her Stetson casting shadows across a face that was all sharp angles and quiet storm, high cheekbones dusted with the faint grit of desert sand, lips pressed into a line that spoke of holding too much in for too long. Officer Alexa Ruiz, her badge red, though she hadn't flashed it yet. 32 if I had to guess, with the kind of eyes that had seen too many sunrises over oil fields and too few over anything green. Me? Catherine Hale, 28. A freelance photographer who traded city lights for the wide-open nothing after my last exhibit bombed and my girlfriend of 5 years decided my artistic temperament was code for emotional unavailability. I'd been driving west for hours, chasing sunsets that bled into sunrises, telling myself it was inspiration, not escape. "You were swerving back there, ma'am," she said, her Texas drawl soft as mesquite smoke, but her gaze pinned me like a butterfly to corkboard. No malice, just that unflinching cop stare. The one that peels back layers you didn't know you had. I fumbled for my wallet in the glove compartment, the leather creaking like an old confession, and handed over the documents with fingers that trembled just enough to betray me. "I'm sorry, officer. Long drive. Tired eyes." It was half true. The other half was the half-empty bottle of cheap bourbon rattling in the passenger seat, a relic from a gas station in Lubbock where the clerk had eyed me like I was trouble wrapped in flannel. She took the papers, her gloved fingers brushing mine, electric, unintended, like static from a wool blanket on a winter night. She shone her flashlight over them, the beam dancing across faded photos of me smiling in better days. Back when my hair was longer and my heart wasn't a bruised peach pit. "Catherine Hale," she read aloud, like testing the weight of the name. "From Austin. What's a city girl like you doing out here in God's own sandbox at 2 a.m.? I shrugged, forcing a laugh that came out brittle. "Chasing ghosts, I guess. Or maybe just the horizon." Poetry from a woman who'd spent the last 6 months sleeping in motels that smelled like regret and stale coffee. She'd get the standard line about a photo assignment, some bullshit about capturing the soul of the panhandle. But the words stuck in my throat. Those eyes of hers, blue as faded denim, they demanded truth, or at least the illusion of it. Alexa handed back my license, but she didn't step away. Instead, she leaned against the truck's door, her silhouette cutting the night like a promise. "Ghosts, huh? I know a thing or two about those." Her voice dropped, confidential, like we were old barflies sharing stools at some dive off I-40. "Pulled over a guy last week, same spot. He was hauling ass from Dallas. Said he was leaving a marriage that had turned toxic as battery acid. Ended up telling me his whole damn life story right here on this pullout. You got one of those, Catherine? A story that keeps you up at night." I blinked, caught off guard. Cops didn't do this, didn't linger, didn't probe like they cared. But there was no judgment in her tone, just a weary kinship, the kind forged in long shifts under indifferent stars. "Maybe," I admitted, my voice barely above the whisper of wind through yucca spines. "Broke up with someone. Thought the road would fix it. Turns out it just amplifies the echo." She nodded, slow, like she'd heard 1,000 variations and lived a few herself. The radio in her cruiser crackled faintly, static and dispatch chatter about a fender bender in Amarillo, but she ignored it, her focus a tether pulling me in. Echoes are the worst part. They bounce around till you can't tell what's memory and what's madness. A pause, heavy as the humidity before a thunderstorm. Then quieter. "I'm Alexa, by the way. Off the clock in spirit, if not in uniform. And for what it's worth, I get it. More than you know." That was the hook she sank into me. Casual as a shared cigarette but deep as a dry well. I didn't press, didn't dare, but something shifted in the cab of that truck. The air thickening with unspoken invitations. She straightened, tipped her hat with a half-smile that crinkled the corners of her eyes. "You're good to go, Miss Hale. But if those ghosts get too loud, there's a diner off exit 47 in Vega. Best pecan pie in the state. Open 24/7 for the lost souls." I watched her walk back to her cruiser, hips swaying with the easy grace of someone who'd grown up roping cattle before she learned to drive. The siren didn't wail again. Instead, she just idled there a moment, headlights washing the road in white, before pulling alongside me. Her window rolled down and she leaned over, voice carrying clear. "Drive safe, Catherine. And remember, sometimes the horizon's just waiting for you to stop running." I didn't sleep that night. Holed up in a no-tell motel in Claude, The kind with thin walls and a neon sign that buzzed like a migraine. I stared at the ceiling cracks mapping out my failures. Alexa Ruiz. The name looped in my head, a refrain to the bourbon's haze. By dawn I'd convinced myself it was nothing. A roadside kindness, the universe's way of reminding me I wasn't invisible. But as I loaded my camera gear into the truck, lenses clinking like wind chimes, I found myself pointing the GPS toward Vega. Exit 47. Pecan pie and ghosts. The diner was a relic, Formica counters scarred from decades of knife fights and heartbroken initials, jukebox crooning Patsy Cline like a lullaby for the damned. I slid into a booth, ordered black coffee and that pie, the crust flaking sweet and nutty on my tongue. And there she was, off-duty in jeans and a faded Ranger's tee, nursing a mug at the counter like she'd never left. Our eyes met in the greasy spoon mirror, and she slid over without a word, her presence filling the space like warm oil in a cold engine. "Fancy meeting you here," she said, that drawl wrapping around me like barbed wire, snug, inescapable. "Stalking's a felony in Texas, officer." I grinned, surprising myself with the ease of it. "Call me Alexa. And this? Serendipity. Or bad habits?" She stirred her coffee, spoon clinking rhythmically. We talked then, easy as breathing, about the flatness of the plains that made you feel small, the way Amarillo's Friday nights smelled like cotton candy and regret at the rodeo. She grew up in a dust-choked town called Borger, daughter of a roughneck who drank more than he drilled, mother who baked pies to forget. Joined the force at 22, chasing stability in a badge, but the job chewed her up. Domestic calls that left bruises on the soul, kids with eyes too old for their faces. "And you?" she asked, leaning in, her knee brushing mine under the table. A spark, accidental, but neither of us moved away. "What's a girl with a camera running from?" So I told her. Not all of it, not the nights I'd sobbed into my pillow after Elena left, calling me too much, too wild. But enough. The exhibit that flopped because my shots of queer joy and straight-laced Austin hit too close to home. The way the art world chewed up dreamers and spat out cynics. "I'm a lesbian photographer in a state that still whispers about it like it's a sin," I said, testing the waters. "Feels like swimming upstream in molasses sometimes." Her laugh was low, genuine, a rumble that vibrated through the booth. "Darlin', I'm a lesbian cop in the same damn state. Try pulling over drunks who call you sweetheart," while quoting Leviticus. The words hung there. A bridge extended over the chasm. She was out to her precinct, she said. Had been since academy days, but West Texas wasn't Austin. It was whispers in the locker room, side eyes at the station potlucks. Her last relationship ended 6 months back. A bartender from Lubbock who couldn't handle the shifts, the danger. The way Alexa came home smelling like other people's tragedies. By the time the sun dipped low, painting the diner in gold, we'd swapped numbers. Mine scrawled on a napkin, hers typed into my phone with steady fingers. "If you're sticking around," she said, standing, "there's a ghost town 20 miles west. Perfect for your lens. And company if you want it." I wanted it. God, did I want it. That night we drove out to the ruins of an old sod house, wind moaning through cracked adobe like lost souls. I snapped shots of her against the crumbling walls, profile sharp as a switchblade, eyes reflecting the dying light, and she watched me work, quiet, intense. When the shutter clicked on a frame of her smiling, unguarded, something cracked open in me. A fissure letting in light after years of dusk. We kissed there under a sky bruised purple, her lips tasting of coffee and courage, hands tentative at first, then sure, mapping shoulders and waists like uncharted land. It wasn't fireworks, it was a hearth fire steady and warm, chasing the chill from bones I'd thought frozen. "Stay a while," she whispered against my neck, breath hot as summer asphalt. "Let me show you this place isn't all echoes." I stayed. For a week, then 2, renting a trailer on the edge of town. My truck parked beside her patrol car like it belonged. Mornings she'd brew coffee strong as tar while I edited photos on my laptop. Our feet tangled under the table. Afternoons we'd hike the Caprock Canyons, her stories weaving through the scrub oak. Tales of high school sweethearts hidden in haylofts. The first time she said, "I love women," aloud and the world didn't end. Evenings we'd drive aimless routes, radio tuned to Waylon Jennings, her hand on my thigh, a anchor in the vastness. It felt like salvation, this slow unfurling. Alexa was steady where I'd been storm-tossed. Her love practical, fierce. The kind that fixed leaky faucets and held you through nightmares without asking for maps. I showed her my world too. Darkroom tricks in the trailer's tiny bath. Prints of women loving women pinned to clothesline, raw and real. "You're magic," she'd say, tracing the edges of a photo, fingers lingering on mine. But West Texas has a way of whispering warnings in the wind. Her ex, Riley, started texting, innocent at first. "How's the force treating you?" Then sharper accusations of moving on too fast. I saw the strain in Alexa's jaw during calls she took in the yard, voice pitched low. My own ghost stirred too. Elena emailed, an apology laced with nostalgia, stirring doubts like dust devils. Was this real or just road-worn rebound? The first real crack came on a Friday, rain lashing the trailer like judgment. Alexa burst in soaked from a call. A bar fight turned ugly, blood on her uniform but none spilled. I cleaned her up, antiseptic sharp in the air, her hands shaking as she gripped the sink. "It's nothing," she lied, but her eyes said everything. The weight of the badge, the isolation of being the only out officer in a county that voted red by landslides. That night, tangled in sheets that smelled of us, she confessed the rest. "I almost quit last year," she murmured into my hair. "After Riley left. Thought I'd pack up, head to Austin, start over. But this is home, the bad with the good. And now, you." Her voice broke, a sob swallowed. I held her tighter, whispering promises I prayed I could keep. Our bodies a bulwark against the storm. Little did I know, the real tempest was brewing, fed by secrets neither of us had fully aired. For in the quiet hours Alexa harbored a shadow from her past. A family tie that bound her tighter than any chain. And I carried a betrayal of my own. One that would test if love could outrun the lies we tell to survive. The days blurred into a rhythm as comforting as the distant hum of pump jacks. Those iron knotters sucking black gold from the earth's reluctant veins. Alexa and I carved out a life in the margins, her shifts ending with her sliding into my trailer. Mud-caked boots kicked off at the door. My camera always slung over a chair like a faithful dog. We'd cooked together, her chopping onions with military precision while I stirred chili that burned going down but warmed from within. Laughter came easier, threaded with the easy intimacy of shared silences, her head on my shoulder as we watched fireflies wink against the mesquite. But love in West Texas is like rain in July. Precious, fleeting, and often followed by flood. The conflict started small, insidious as chiggers under skin. Her captain, a bull-necked veteran named Hargrove with a mustache like a broom bristle, pulled her aside one morning after roll call. I wasn't there, but she came home with the story etched in her frown. A complaint from a local rancher, whispers that Officer Ruiz was distracted lately, sweet on that city fatigue. It wasn't outright bigotry, Hargrove was fair in his gruff way. But the implication hung heavy, a noose of small-town scrutiny. "They're just looking out," she insisted that night, as we sat on the trailer stoop, stars wheeling overhead like God's own disco ball. Crickets chorused our doubts. Texas is changing. Slowly, but it's happening. I wanted to believe her, trace the calluses on her palms from steering wheel and holster, but my Austin scars itched. The gallery owners who'd lowballed my queer portraits, the friends who'd faded after Elena's exodus. "Change is a luxury," I said softly, "when survival's the bill." She pulled me close, her embrace a fortress, but I felt the tremor in her arms. The unspoken fear that I was the distraction that could cost her everything. And God, wasn't I? My assignment had stretched into weeks. Emails from editors piling up unanswered. My bank account a shallow grave. Staying meant roots in red dirt. Leaving meant losing the first woman who'd made my heart feel like home instead of a hotel. Then Riley showed up, unannounced as a haboob, rolling into Vega in a rusted El Camino that screamed Lubbock nights. Alexa had mentioned her in passing. A whirlwind romance fueled by tequila shots and stolen weekends, but seeing them together at the diner hit like a gut punch. I was nursing a Coke at the counter when the door chimed, and there she was. Riley, all sharp edges and sharper tongue, dyed red hair like a warning flag, tattoos snaking up arms that looked ready to throw punches or pull you into bed. "Lex," she drawled, sliding onto a stool beside Alexa, who stiffened like a wire pulled taut. "Heard you were playing house. Thought I'd see for myself." Her eyes flicked to me, appraising, dismissive, a flick of ash from a cigarette she wasn't smoking. Alexa introduced us curtly, her hand finding mine under the table, a lifeline in the suddenly stale air. Riley lingered, ordering fries and stories, her laughter too loud. Anecdotes laced with remember-whens that painted Alexa as wilder, freer, before the badge tamed her. You were fire back then, babe. Now, you're playing it safe with Miss Camera over here. The words landed like buckshot, and I felt Alexa bristle, her free hand clenching into a fist. I excused myself to the restroom, splashing water on a face burning with unwelcome jealousy, staring at my reflection. Green eyes shadowed, auburn hair tousled from wind and worry. Who was I to claim her? A drifter, a dreamer, while Riley was woven into the fabric of her past. When I returned, the tension had thickened to gumbo. Riley was leaning in, voice low. Dot and Ma's still asking about you. Says the family's counting on that land, Lex. You can't just up and leave it all. Land? Alexa had never mentioned family holdings. Just the roughneck dad long gone and a mom baking pies in Borger. But Riley's words unlocked a door I'd glimpsed but never entered. The Ruiz Ranch, a spread of 200 acres straddling the Oklahoma line. Legacy of a grandfather who drilled his way to modest fortune before the busts hit. Alexa shut it down quick, her cop voice edging in. That's ancient history, Ree. Drop it. But Riley didn't. She left with a hug that lingered too long, a promise to catch up soon, and a parting shot over her shoulder. Don't forget who you are, Lex. Small towns have long memories. That night, the argument simmered like road tar under sun. She's poison, I said, pacing the trailer, my voice sharper than intended. Coming back to stir shit because she can't stand you happy. Alexa sat on the bed, elbows on knees, head bowed. It's not that simple, Kat. Riley. She knows things. About the ranch, about why I stayed here after her. She looked up, eyes stormy. My family's conservative as hell. Dad's side all oil money and Bible study. The land's in trust, passes to me if I settle down right. Marry a good man, give him grandkids, keep the name going. I came out to Ma years ago. She cried for a week but said she loved me anyway. But the rest? They'd disown me in a heartbeat. The confession landed heavy, a stone in my gut. Betrayal? Not yet, but the seed was sown. Her silence on it all. The half-truths that painted our bubble as safe when it teetered on family fault lines. Why didn't you tell me? I whispered, sinking beside her, our hands linking automatically. Fear, she admitted, simple as that. Of scaring you off. You're the first good thing in years, Kat. Didn't want the baggage. We made up in the dark, apologies murmured against skin, but the fracture lingered, a hairline crack in porcelain. Days later, my own demon arrived via FedEx. A manila envelope from Elena, thick with prints I'd left behind. Intimate shots of us tangled in sheets, eyes closed in ecstasy. No note, just the images, a silent taunt. Remember me? I burned them in the trailer's sink, the acrid smoke curling like accusations, but the ashes stuck in my throat. Worse, I slipped, confiding in a wrong ear, my editor, during a late-night call begging for an extension. It's this cop, I said, voice slurred with wine. She's got me rethinking everything. He laughed. Promised to feature my Texas romance series if I delivered. But words travel. By week's end, whispers reached Alexa through station gossip. Hale's using you for her artsy-fartsy exposé. Watch your back. Trust eroded like canyon walls in flash flood. She confronted me after a shift, uniform still on, badge glinting like accusation. Is it true? Am I just backdrop for your comeback story? Her voice cracked, raw as peeled onion. No. I protested, pulling her into the trailer, but doubt had taken root. That was private, a vent to a friend. I swear. We argued till dawn, words flying like tumbleweeds. My resentment at her secrets, her fear of being fodder. In the heat, I lashed out. Maybe if you trusted me with the ranch bullshit, I wouldn't need to vent at all. She recoiled, eyes wide with hurt. The ranch is a chain, Kat. A noose disguised as legacy. I stayed for Ma for the job, thought I could outrun it. But with you, I wanted to believe we could build something real, not haunted. The silence after was deafening, broken only by her leaving for a double shift. Door clicking shut like finality. I spent the day in bed, camera untouched, replaying every frame. Her laugh in the diner, kisses in the ghost town, the way she'd trace my tattoos. A cluster of stars on my wrist, inked after Elena, as if mapping constellations. Riley struck again that evening, cornering me at the gas station where I'd gone for smokes and solace. You hurt her good city girl, she sneered, pumping gas into her El Camino, the fumes sharp as her grin. Lex deserves better than a tourist playing house. Fuck off, Riley, I snapped, but she leaned in, voice oily. Think you're the first? She falls hard, then reality bites. Family wants that land sold to developers, big money. But only if she signs, plays the part. She's too chicken shit to fight it. You'll bolt when it gets real. Her words were venom, but they festered. That night Alexa came home late, hollowed by a call. A teen overdose in a trailer park, the kid's mom wailing like a banshee. We didn't fight, instead we clung desperate, her head on my chest as I stroked her hair. I love you, she whispered, first time spoken aloud, a vow in the velvet dark. I love you too, I echoed, meaning it fiercer than breath. But love isn't armor, it's Achilles' heel. The betrayal brewed, not from us, but from the world closing in. Family pressures mounting, my career dangling like a noose of its own. As autumn winds stripped the pecans bare, the storm gathered, promising to uproot everything we'd dared to plant. November swept in like a cold front off the Llano Estacado, stripping leaves from the cottonwoods and frosting the trailer windows in intricate defeat. Alexa and I patched our peace with deliberate tenderness, morning walks along the dry creek beds, her hand in mine as we kicked pebbles, talking futures and hypotheticals. If we had a place of our own, it'd have a darkroom and a porch swing. But the undercurrent pulled stronger, Riley's barbs echoing in my doubts, the ranch's specter neither voiced. The climax hit on Thanksgiving Eve, the air thick with the scent of Ma Ruiz's tamales, Alexa's olive branch inviting me to Borger for the family feast. They know about you, she said, packing Tupperware with nervous fingers. Ma's excited. Says you're that nice girl with the pictures. I wanted to meet them to stake a claim in her world, but my gut twisted like barbed wire. Elena's ghost lingered too. Another email, this one with attachments, scans of my old work annotated with her suggestions, a siren call back to the city. We drove east in convoy, my truck trailing her cruiser, the panhandle unfolding in shades of ochre and gunmetal. The ranch was a sprawl of weathered barns and wind-bent fences, the house a low-slung adobe with a wraparound porch sagging under the weight of history. Ma Ruiz greeted us with hugs that smelled of cumin and corn husks, her silver-streaked hair pulled into a bun, eyes crinkling with genuine warmth. Catherine, Alexa's told me all about your photos. Show me sometime. The uncles and cousins arrived in waves, boisterous men in starched wranglers, women with laughter like wind chimes, bearing pies and pitchers of sweet tea spiked with bourbon. Dinner was a cacophony. Stories of busts and booms, grace set over platters of turkey and pozole. I sat beside Alexa, her knee pressed to mine under the table, a secret Morse code of reassurance. They welcomed me easy, questions light. Austin's too crowded for my blood, one aunt said, passing the cornbread. But you girls, you make it work out here. It was going fine, better than fine, until the after-dinner circle on the porch, cigars glowing like fireflies as the men talked land. That developer from Tulsa's sniffing around again, Uncle Javier rumbled, voice gravel from years of shouting over rigs. Offering triple for the back 40. But the trust says blood kin only, and only if it's settled proper. Alexa tensed beside me, her cigar untouched. Ma shot her a look soft but pointed. We've talked about this, Mija. The ranch needs you. A family of your own to run it right. The words landed like a gavel. Riley, who'd slunk in uninvited with a bottle of mezcal, chimed from the shadows. Yeah, Lex. Time to stop playing pretend. Catherine's sweet, but she's not the future here. The porch went still, the only sound the creak of rockers and my pulse thundering. Alexa stood slow, her face a mask cracking at the edges. Enough. Her voice was steel, honed by badges and broken hearts. The ranch isn't a bargaining chip for your outdated dreams. I love Catherine. She's my future. And if that means selling every acre to buy our freedom, then so be it. Chaos erupted, shouts overlapping, Ma's gasp sharp as shattered glass. Javier's face purpling with family honor rhetoric. Riley smirked, but it faltered when Alexa turned on her. And you stirring shit because you couldn't handle the real me. Get out. Riley stormed off, tires spinning gravel like spite. I pulled Alexa inside, away from the fray, her body shaking against mine in the dim kitchen. I'm sorry, she choked, tears hot on my collarbone. I should have fought sooner. For us. But the real knife twisted when my phone buzzed, my editor voiced triumphant. Kat, that tip about your cop romance? Gold. I've got a spot in the next issue. Just need details, intimate ones. Betrayal cold and complete. I'd forgotten or willfully ignored that drunken call months back, the one that seeded this mess. The gossip, the whispers, it traced back to me, my careless words birthing the doubt that nearly broke us. Alexa, I started, but she saw the screen, her face draining to ash. You talked? About us? For your story? Not like that, I swear it was nothing event. But lies crumbled under her gaze, the trust we'd rebuilt fracturing like cheap china. I didn't mean for it to leak. God, Alexa, I'm so sorry. She backed away, the kitchen island a chasm between us. I opened up to you about the ranch, the family, everything, and you turned it into copy? After Riley, after all the shit. Her voice broke, raw as a fresh wound. I thought you saw me, not material. The family noise swelled outside. Ma calling her name, uncles muttering, but it faded to white noise. I reached for her, but she flinched, the hurt in her eyes deeper than any canyon. I do see you. You're everything. This was my fuck-up, my fear of losing my career bleeding into us. Please let me fix it. She shook her head, tears carving tracks down cheeks flushed with betrayal. Maybe we can't. Maybe I'm just the plot twist in your redemption arc. She walked out into the night, leaving me adrift in a kitchen that smelled of feasts and farewells. The drive back was silent agony, her cruiser vanishing into taillights ahead. At the trailer she packed a duffel, slow, deliberate, while I begged, words tumbling like loose stones. Don't do this. We can weather it. I called the editor, told him to kill the piece. It's done. But the damage was a sinkhole swallowing whole. I need space, Kat, she said finally, bag slung over shoulder. To figure if I can trust again. The job, the family, their chains, but you were supposed to be wings. She left then, door whispering shut, the trailer echoing with absence. Days blurred into a gray November fog. I holed up, camera gathering dust, emails unanswered. Ma called once, voice thick. Give her time, Mija. Love here's like the land, stubborn, but it heals if you let it lie fallow. Riley texted gloating emojis, but I blocked her, the petty victory hollow. 2 weeks in, the climax crested not in rage but revelation. A knock at dawn, Alexa, hollow-cheeked, uniform rumpled from a graveyard shift. I sold the back 40, she said, stepping inside uninvited, voice steady but eyes red-rimmed. To that developer. Told the family it's my choice, no strings, no settling. Ma cried, but she hugged me after. Said she was proud. I stared, hope flickering fragile. And us. She set a folder on the table. Legal papers, crisp and final. Use the money for a down payment. On a cabin up in Palo Duro Canyon. Room for a darkroom, a studio. If you want it. If you want me, flaws and all. The betrayal's echo lingered, but so did the love, deeper now, tempered by fire. I want you, I whispered, pulling her close, her body sagging into mine like a prayer answered. All of it. The chains, the wings, everything. We didn't rush the mend. It was slow, humanistic work. Therapy sessions via Zoom with an Austin counselor who specialized in queer couples in red states. Family dinners where ma passed tamales and tentative forgiveness. I deleted the editor's number. Pivoted my work to local stories. Portraits of panhandle lesbians thriving in the shadows. Alexa the first subject, her eyes fierce and free. Spring came hesitant, greening the plains with promise. We moved to the cabin, a sturdy A-frame perched on canyon rims, where sunsets bled into starscapes and the wind sang of second chances. No grand gestures, just us, her badge on the mantel beside my lenses, hands intertwined over morning coffee. West Texas taught me love isn't a highway escape, but a dirt road commitment, potholed and profound. Alexa and I, we're still navigating, ghosts occasionally howling, but together we face the horizon. Not running but arriving. And in her arms, under skies vast as forgiveness, I found my path not changed by a pullover, but claimed wholly, humanly, ours.